The first time Lily mentioned the ugly look-alike, Daniel Hartman barely looked up from his phone, because billionaires rarely expect life-altering revelations to arrive in the soft, uncertain voice of a 6-year-old tugging at their sleeve after school, yet Lily's words landed with a strange weight as she sat across from him in the back seat of the black luxury car, her knees swinging, her face unusually serious, telling him about a girl she saw behind the old market alley who looked exactly like her, except dirtier, sadder, and hurt, a girl who wore torn clothes and had bruises on her arms and eyes that looked like they'd forgotten how to hope. And Daniel laughed at first, assuming it was a child's imagination, but Lily didn't laugh back. She insisted, said the girl cried when she pointed at her, said people walked past like she didn't exist, and said the girl lived near trash bins and smelled like rain and rust. And when Lily finished, she asked a question that pierced through Daniel's polished armor of wealth and power. Daddy, why does she look like me if she has nothing and I have everything? That night Daniel couldn't sleep, because Lily had never lied to him, and the way she described the girl was too detailed, too real, and 2 days later, against his schedule and logic, he asked the driver to take a detour to the alley Lily described, a place his billion-dollar life had trained him to ignore, and there, sitting against a cracked wall beside a dented metal bin, was a child who made his breath stop, because it felt like looking at Lily through a broken mirror, same eyes, same nose. Same tiny scar near the eyebrow that Lily had gotten as a toddler, except this child was thin, bruised, trembling, and when Daniel stepped closer, she flinched as if expecting pain, and that reaction alone unraveled something deep inside him, because Lily had never once feared an adult, and when he gently asked her name, the girl whispered, Mara, and when he asked about her parents, she went silent, staring at the ground, and that silence screamed louder than any answer, and in that moment, Daniel's memory betrayed him, dragging him back 7 years earlier to a hospital corridor soaked in regret, to a night when his wife Elena had gone into premature labor, to twins, to chaos, to a fire alarm malfunction, to nurses shouting, to smoke, to confusion, and to a doctor telling him one baby didn't make it, and Daniel remembered signing papers with shaking hands, remembered Elena crying herself into emptiness, remembered how grief hollowed their marriage until Elena passed away too. Years later from an illness she never fought hard enough to survive, and Daniel had buried the past under empires and numbers and glass towers, but now the past was sitting in front of him, breathing, bruised, alive, and when he asked Mara how old she was and she said 6, Daniel's knees nearly gave out, because Lily was 6, and science didn't care about denial, and DNA didn't respect wealth, and Daniel rushed Mara to a private clinic that same day, telling himself 1,000 lies while praying for one truth. And when the results came back, the doctor spoke softly, but the words detonated like thunder. She is your biological daughter, and the room spun, because the daughter he had buried never died. She had been lost, stolen by negligence or cruelty or fate, and Daniel demanded answers, uncovering a nightmare of understaffed hospitals, forged records, a nurse who had sold babies into illegal adoption rings, a woman who had taken Mara and then abandoned her when she became inconvenient, leaving a child to survive on charity and shadows, and Daniel wept for the first time in years, not the controlled tears of boardrooms or funerals, but the kind that break something open, and when he brought Lily to meet Mara, Lily ran to her without hesitation, hugging her twin like she'd been waiting her whole life, whispering, I told you, Daddy, she's me, and Mara cried into Lily's clean dress, stunned by kindness she didn't know existed, and Daniel realized in that moment that all his billions had never made him rich, not until he found what he had lost, and the months that followed were not magical or easy, because trauma doesn't dissolve in luxury, and Mara woke up screaming some nights, flinched at loud voices, hid food under her bed, and Daniel learned humility as he learned how to be a father twice over, fighting legal battles, rebuilding trust, and using his power not to dominate markets but to protect his children, and when the story eventually surfaced, the media called it a miracle, a scandal, a billionaire's redemption arc, but Daniel knew the truth was simpler and heavier. A child saw another child suffering and refused to look away, and years later, standing on a stage at a charity foundation he built for lost and trafficked children, Daniel watched Lily and Mara holding hands, smiling the same smile, and he told the audience that the greatest discovery of his life didn't come from a lab or a deal but from listening when a small voice said something uncomfortable, and if this story moved you, if it reminded you that compassion can rewrite destinies and that sometimes the smallest truths lead to the biggest shocks, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because every story you watch helps shine light on voices that deserve to be heard, and the next story might just change the way you see the world.